And we're back. Nobody magically showed up and put this together for me, so we're gonna have to do it. You missed out on a little bit because I'm only a semi-professional mechanic and an amateur video editor, GoPro goer guy, so missed out on a few things because all my GoPros were dead. We got it officially seated in all the way. Got some bell housing bolts in, this side of the exhaust installed with all 4 bolts tight, mind you, unlike previously. So we're gonna continue to rock and roll. Now, you can probably see why somebody left that loose. That is next to impossible to get to that bolt right there. Look at that joy. But I guess with open end wrench and just a little patience. Thank you, Axel. We'll get it in there. Okay, so we're down to getting the torque converter bolts in. I've got the first 2 started. You do not want to tighten these all the way up until you get all of them in there. But you do want to get them to where it pulls the converter up against the flex plate and barely touches. Because if you got that head sticking out, you go to turn this thing around, it can get caught somewhere in the webbing of the block or somewhere, and you're in for a rude awakening. So anyways, we're going to get to going on this. Get these tightened up, put the starter on, and we are done underneath this thing. Alright, as you can see, got all the converter bolts in, got the starter back on. Got my ground cables that are way up here attached. Kind of spared you all that, because that's all boring stuff, but unless it's on, we are done underneath here. Let's just gather up our tools. Move to the top. Alright, before we get much further, on the top, I'm going to go ahead and put the lower intake on so we're not fighting this harness and stuff. I got to fix this wire. I'll pull it out and I'll show you what we're going to do. We'll pull the terminal out of that other engine over there, harness, and then we'll resolder those back together. Then we're going to work on trying to doll up this loom a little bit. All the exposed wires sit here and chafe and cause problems down the road, so let's see what we can do. So we're going to take a look at these gaskets. I'll reuse these for Plenumans. They're pretty new. And you can see they come over the top of the surface of the intake here. So these are reusable as long as they have a little bit of a thickness to them. And they do come over the top. That means when the plenum comes down, it will smash down and seal. Now if you look at the intake to head side, these do not. It's hard to see, but they're pretty well flush. So I do have some new ones. We're gonna replace all those. That way we got a good intake seal, no vacuum leaks. Let's get to switching them. rubber's pretty hard on these as well, so you want them to be soft and pliable. There you go. Out the old, in with the new. Just watched a recent episode of Vice Grip, and Derek makes a good point when you're putting these in. You don't stick them in there and then push around the edges. So when you do so, you'll stretch that out. And these are formed seals, so find your corners, your common spots, push them in, and go around and push the rest of it in. Just like that. We got brand new seals. Now you should be able to see how much further they'll stick up. So we have a good mating sealing surface now. There we go. All nice and re-loomed. If anything, this looks better, but not really. That'll definitely help prevent problems in the future. I still haven't been able to find that plate that mounts on this side for all this stuff, so well, we may have to go without it. Unfortunately, I didn't want to, but I might have a choice for now. If I can find one, I'll definitely give them a call and put it on later. We'll just keep rocking and rolling. Well, I had that other harness which had this connector lock on it, and still trying to figure out how to get it to go on there the right way, but we're working on it. So I'm gonna take a break on that, move on to other things. There's plenty of other things. So I did think though, we lost the fuel clip, or we didn't lose it, it was missing and then broken anyways. Well, luckily the other engine had one on there, so we're gonna steal the clips off that fuel line, wherever it's at. Where'd I put that sucker? It's down here somewhere. Oh boy. No telling. We'll find it. Well, let me see if I can locate that. Then we'll take it off. Okay. While y'all were sleeping, that was a good movie, by the way. I got the power steering pump on. This harness routed. Got the AC compressor on. All bolts are tight. And we're going to work on getting the alternator on it, built in it. And then, yeah, still got to fix that wire. I've been putting that off because I don't want to mess with it. But it's such an easy thing that we'll get it done here in a second. So, let's get this alternator on here. Trying to figure out how this belt goes on. Looks like it goes that way, around. Some here. So yeah, we'll figure it out. So I just snipped this off the harness on the charger. The wire coloring matches this one in that same cylinder. So instead of depinning it and just doing the one, I'm just going to snip it and solder the two wires together. So, all right, let's get to soldering. Yes, I don't recommend an open flame over a intake. I'm doing it anyways. Do as I say, not as I do. Well, that glove gets hot. And there we go. Like factory. Not quite. Well, it took a lot of figuring. I finally got this on there, so it's secure now. Ah, got you sleeping again. Either that or my SD card was full and I didn't want to stop working. I was on a roll. Anyways, Barney came over and helped me get the radiator assembly in, so we got that in. Got some hoses in there. Had the intake mocked up because, like I said, I don't work on these enough anymore to remember. We got the fun bracket here we got to put in down there, then we can get the intake on it. I figured out the purge solenoid because I'm foggy on that as well. So anyway, man, we are almost there. We don't like much. We're filling up the coolant oil, firing this pig up. Let's keep rocking and rolling. George! George! Hush! So anyways, he's not gonna hush. Oops. These little zip tied trees are supposed to hold this harness up here, which I have some, so we're gonna replace them. Because they were already broke off. Look, they sit there and they rub on the steering shaft. That's just not good. I mean, somebody can at least zip tie the sucker to it, but anyways, we're gonna straighten it out, get it right. Alright guys, we're down to putting oil in it. Change the filter. Back to the cooling system. Need to put that bolt in. and lighten it up. So let's see what happens. Alright, that is 6 quarts of 520. Change this filter out here. Got a 24 millimeter. I think it's time to change the oil in this thing. Definitely not the worst I've ever seen. There we go. Change his O-ring. Well, make sure you get that in the right groove there. Seen people do it on the top one, and I don't know how or why they put it there, but that will create a leak. And then on these caps, just go until they stop, and a little bit more, not too much. Not even a hooga. These bolts are missing right here, so we'll have to track some down. But to get her started, we don't need it. Alright, let's bust out the fancy vac tool. I'll show you that. These 3/6s are known to trap air. They do have a bleeder screw on the thermostat housing. Hard to see with the intake on it. You can, but it's on the thermostat housing. You can bleed these prior to putting the intake plenum on, but it's better, better to vac it, because that'll also check for you'll know if you have any coolant leaks that way. Use the coolant there. Okay, so we got the 50/50 pre-diluted one part oil coolant, sorry. And let's get some air going. You see the hoses flaps down. You can watch the needle for any leakage. Now we just take this line, stick it in our bottle, pull the lever. So to top it off, I like to use one of these funnels. See, I'm still getting a little air out of this thing. but this puts your coolant level above the heater core and everything else in the vehicle, so it makes sure to push any extra air out of it. Man, we are down to hooking a battery up. Like I told you before, you take the negative off first, then the positive. You do the opposite, putting it together. It goes positive then negative. Oh. I'll use impacts on this kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm a semi-professional mechanic, so I can get away with it. Oh, that's not good. Okay. Interesting. I think one of those tighten up. Hold on. Alright, they're tight now. Use the old socket trick with a hammer. Pushes them down further on the post. The posts are tapered, so that's why they do that. Alright guys, y'all ready to light this puppy up? It is time. Oh boy, cross your fingers. Let's see what happens. We've got a misfire. That'll plug it in here. No, my luck is going to be something underneath this point on my left unhook. Gosh, I hope not. I had to bust the old scanner out and see what's going on. You got any lights on yet? No lights yet. Got another pour and a half from under it. That's a good sign. I'm gonna get lucky as a lifter, but I don't think so. It'll still run a little rough. Oh. I'll have to go get my scanner out of the car. I'll be back. Well, I guess I scared it. I went and got my scanner, come back, and she smoothed out. Most likely it was a valve blast adjuster that probably hadn't fully bubbles. Got all the air out of it yet, so it can't open the valve all the way. And sometimes these take time. 3/6s usually aren't as bad about that. Hemis will do it a lot, but we'll let it run for a minute. Bubble out some more water. Caliente. See, I got the scanner, but by the time I plugged it in, she was doing just fine. Coolant temp's looking good. Alright guys, I'm going to let this run for just a little bit more. Make sure we don't need to add any other more fluids, and find some bolts that go here. Shut the hood and go roll. I'll take off for a ride. Well, all I could find was something like this. Not the prettiest thing out of all the bolts and stuff I got lying around. It's an odd bolt though. I typically like to put those back. So, I guess that's why I can't find one. Just slowly chugging some air out of it. Let me get that thermostat open before we go dry it, so. Here, guys, we're probably getting some heat in them. Some kind of magic started happening. I feel it chugging. Come on, baby. Feeling good temp-wise. So before we get too far, this looks like that all mix coolant, which is fine, but I don't want to mix it with this, so we're going to suck all that out, fill it up with oat, and let's go drive. Alright, we got all the fluids double checked. I got my sidekick here with me, right here. She might be considered a tumor. I don't know. She's stuck to me all the time, so. Or sidekick.
That's not very nice.
Oh, so sad. Alright, so that wraps up this week in the shop and the Jeep motor swap. You can use a 2020 Charger Challenger 2020 motor to put in a 15 model Jeep. And that probably goes for a 13 and up Wrangler as well. I did reuse quite a few parts, just out of curiosity's sake. The crank sensor in the old 3.6 was messed up anyway, so we swapped that one. I thought, well, heck, we'll just leave the cool packs and cam sensors and everything else on there. I did swap the intake and use the original intake with the original injectors. Yeah, test drive went well. All the fluids look great, no leaks. AC heat works. Old Jeep drives pretty good. So appreciate everything. Remember to click and subscribe, share this sucker, and if anybody has any questions of any kind, please message me, comment me. And appreciate you watching. Thanks. Peace.